in their language.
Wakenya, niko na Tinasha na niko na Karo. This weekend is that weekend we've been longing for and waiting. Kenya, where it all begins. Home of the ultimate test of endurance. Safari Rally is not just a race. It is who we are. Come experience wonder. Tuonane Safari Rally, tukutane Vasha.
Well, indeed, all roads lead to Vasha. Dust must be seen hata after floods. Nasikia huko Naivasha vumbi iko. Hata kama kumenyesha namna gani vumbi iko. The 2026 WRC Safari Rally kicks off today in Naivasha. And that's how we kick off this morning show. This is the Morning Cafe. Karibu sana. My name is Fred Indimuni.
My name is Ann Odida, na kama rais amesema tukutane Vasha.
Lazima tukutane.
Tuko huko tayari. Now we'll be finding out if it's actually dusty ama kama kuna floods wenye. Unajua unasema it's dusty. I don't think so. At least this year you're lucky.
Naivasha. Naivasha lazima upate dust mahali. Hata kunyeshe aje. Lazima tu vumbi itatokea mahali.
You know, the good thing is, once again, we are on ground. So we'll be joining our team there later on watuambie kunaenda vipi. This is a 4-day event starting today, the 12th of March 2026. Up to 15th.
15th, yes.
And then Deputy President Kithure Kindiki will be launching that event.
Flagging off.
Today. Yeah, flagging it off today. And
now,
then
there's one thing that many people may miss, because traditionally the rally has always been flagged off from the KICC. And then they have a spectator stage at Kasarani, so people in Nairobi get to see the rally cars before they head to Naivasha. This time around, there's nothing like that. Everything will be happening in Naivasha. But as we said, that all roads lead to Naivasha, it is quite literally, all roads lead to Naivasha, meaning that if you're heading towards the western part of this country, if you're going to Gilgil, if you're going to Nakuru or to Kisumu, and you're planning to use that barabara from Nairobi heading that way, sahau. So the traffic department has actually come up with different alternative routes that you can use to that part of the country. Wewe jifanye tu kichwa ngumu useme unaenda Naivasha na ile barabara ya kawaida. Ole wako, usituulize.
utakwama huko.
Usituulize. It has happened before. Have you ever been caught up in that traffic?
No. Thank God.
Wewe ni wale wa kufly. Heri nyinyi.
I can't relate.
I'm telling you, you do not want to be caught in that traffic. They've also given directions on truck drivers, long distance truck drivers, on where to park, where not to park, because they usually are a big part of that problem.
Absolutely. Unaenda Vasha?
Mimi, wacha nione. Unajua watu wengi huwa wasemi. Because unajua mtu wako akipotea hii weekend. Na ujua kwa wapi. Chances are very high that he or she is in Vasha. Na umebaki huku, yeye anaona dust.
Huko.
Anaona vumbi quite literally.
Ties very nicely to the conversation we were talking about yesterday on Relationship Wednesday. Kwa nini unaenda Vasha na mtu wako ajue unaenda Vasha? I think people are very open about them going to Safari Rally in Naivasha. Because wanaonanga, oh wow, we anaenda.
Do you know there are people who go to the rally but they don't see any rally car? But they'll be there for the entire 4-day period and come back and they'll have seen a lot of dust, but they will not have seen a single rally car.
Wanapeleka tabia Nairobi Naivasha. You know somebody
tabia Nairobi. This is worse. It's actually become something to look forward to. Just going to Vasha, the pretext that you're going to see the rally, enjoy the rally cars and some of the dust. It really happens. Some people just go, do a few things and come back.
All right, being the 12th of March. It's also World Kidney Day, and that is a conversation we'll be having after State of the Nation, of course, starting 8 a.m. Last year, we were focusing on the theme was, is your kidney okay? So I think it's quite timely. That was the theme 2025. Are your kidneys okay?
I hope so. I hope they are. And I think I'll be looking forward to the expert we'll be having in studio. Ndio nijue kama niko sawa.
Yes. Okay, this year we have a different theme, but we'll be looking at that later on the show. Let's take a look to the... All right, we have a question of the day today, and we're asking you, today is World Kidney Day. What question would you like to ask our doctor about kidney health? Use the hashtag MorningCafeTV47. Let's take a look at the state of the weather. All right, let's see how the weather's looking across the country today, the 12th of March. And we'll start off in Isiolo. It's cloudy. It's 18 degrees this morning. Highs of 29 degrees expected today. Tana River is cloudy as well, and it's 24 degrees this morning. Highs of 33 degrees expected. Scattered thunderstorms in Kakamega to this morning, and it's 16 degrees. 22 degrees are the highs expected today in Kakamega. Weather in Nairobi. Light rains expected this morning, and it's 15 degrees, highs of 25 degrees. Nakuru, it's raining as well, and it's 13 degrees, highs of 22 degrees. A very chilly day in Nakuru. And in Nyeri, it's also raining this morning, and it's 13 degrees, highs of 24 degrees expected today. And that's the state of the weather.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the local dailies right now. All right, so a quick look at the newspapers today, and let me start off with Taifa Leo. Gazeti la Taifa Leo anasema Oburu amesaliti Raila. Nani amesema hivi? Ni katibu mkuu wa chama cha ODM Edwin Sifuna. Siku moja baada ya ODM na UDA kuandaa kikao kuhusu ajenda 10, katibu mkuu wa ODM asema yote ni sarakasi tu. Na ndio habari kuu ambayo taizungumzia leo. Anasema this was a total betrayal. 1 year later, after the signing of that MOU between ODM and UDA, which led to the 10-point agenda that was supposed to ideally have been effected or implemented in full within 1 year. The report that came out said that at least 85% has been implemented. But yesterday, the Linda Mwananchi team came out and said, hiyo ni mchezo sasa, hiyo ni mchezo. We'll be listening to what they said. But that story has been covered extensively on most of the dailies today. Oburu amesaliti Raila, which translates to Oburu has betrayed Raila. That story about the sale of shares in the Nation Media Group are still making headlines, and this is a story that you'll see on most of the pages that we'll be looking at. Most of the front pages we'll be looking at this morning. Miliki mpya wa NMG ahidi kulinda hadhi ya uandishi wa habari. There have been very many concerns that the sale of NMG, which is one of the most independent papers across this region, to this Tanzanian businessman could affect the independence of the media across the region. But this gentleman came out and said, no. Sisi hatukuji kuharibu anything. Kazi itaendelea. In fact, he even made a promise, because people are saying, okay, fine, probably guys within the NMG will lose jobs. He said, no, actually, there might be more jobs coming. So something positive. Let's hope it actually works. For the media fraternity, that could be positive. If at all this buyout of the Aga Khan from the NMG portends positive things. Aliyefutwa kwa SMS kulipwa kitita. Kuna jamaa hapa. Koti yaamrisha kampuni imlipe mfanyikazi wao wa zamani shilingi 800,000.
Wow.
Kwa kumfuta kupitia SMS.
Wow.
Uliambiwa tu usikuje kazini. You're fired. Sasa is 800,000 shillings richer. IEBC ahidi shilingi milioni 59 kujaza kiti cha Ng'eno. We're already talking about the by-election for Emuru Dikir. Has the seat even been declared vacant? The burial only happened last week on Friday. I'm yet to see if at all the speaker has already issued writs. He ideally should do so within a certain period, then within 90 days. After those writs are issued declaring a vacancy, then the by-elections is held. But then again, now the IBC already comes out and says for that by-election, we'll spend 59 million shillings. Yeah. Muhtaba angali mafichoni. Wanajeshi wa Iran walilazimisha uteuzi wa Muhtaba Khamenei kama kiongozi mpya wa kidini na wanasema bado yuko mafichoni. Pale juu, nguvu za magavana kuajiri kupunguzwa. Wanasema magavana huenda wakazuiwa kuteua idadi isiyo ya kipimo ya maafisa wakuu ikiwa marekebisho mapya ya sheria iliyowasilishwa kwa kamati ya Seneti yatapitishwa. Na habari ile ya WRC Safari Rally Vasha. Wanasema enzi mpya Safari Rally ikianza Vasha. Ni enzi mpya. Tumezoea mbio za magari kuanzia hapa Nairobi, lakini sasa wanasema kila kitu itakuwa kule Naivasha. Duru ya 3 ya mbio za magari duniani WRC kung'oa nanga leo. Gazeti la Taifa Leo.
All right, let's take a look at what's making headline on the front page of the Daily Nation. Looming fuel crisis talks about the Iran war and ripple effect. Kenyans could soon feel the heat of the ongoing US-Israel war in Iran. Following reports, petrol stocks might run out at the end of the month. At a time, a major supplier in the Gulf has shut down its refinery after taking a hit from Iranian fire. The story is on page 4. Following the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, talks about Iran has disrupted operations at the busiest shipping channel that connects the oil-rich Persian Gulf to the rest of the world, that is the Strait of Hormuz. Maritime sources say 13 ships have been attacked since the conflict began last month, with 3 vessels hit yesterday, including that one that is expected to supply oil to Kenya and, of course, to Uganda as well, being that Uganda is landlocked. Now they get their oil through Kenya.
Uganda has just bought a huge stake in Kenya Pipeline.
Yes.
But hiyo iwasaidi kama oil is not coming from Iran and elsewhere in the Persian Gulf, in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere. Hawatasaidika hata kama wana own KPC. Yeah.
Watasaidika through Kenya. Wataendelea kututegemea.
Remember, immediately after this war started, the Kenyan administration, the government came out and said, yes, sisi tuko sawa. We have stocks of fuel to cover us up until end of April.
Yes.
Well, it is already mid-March. Yes?
Yes.
It's already mid-March. So only a month and a half to go.
Not tense.
And the war bado haikai ni kama inaenda kuisha.
Yes. So they say oil has surged past $100 a barrel due to the blockade of the channel through which 20% of the world's oil is shipped. This is the Strait of Hormuz once again. And that oil company that has been hit, according to this newspaper, is the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, ADNOC. If you remember, this is one of the companies that were in a deal with the government in 2023, when there was some trouble with the dollar? G2G, yes, G2G oil deal. There was ADNOC, there was Saudi Arabia, Aramco, something like that. And there's also, I've forgotten that it was Emirates something. So what they were saying is that this G2G was supposed to cushion the country back then, the issue of the dollar. Now they're asking if at all they will be able to cushion Kenyans if such crisis happens that is now going on in Iran. I
don't think anyone discussed the possibility of war, of the US and Israel attacking Iran. No one anticipated that. People just thought, okay, fine, it's just business. We can only discuss the price and the timings. Sasa, kuna shida.
Kumewaka. Lakini I don't think there's much they can do about it. If the Strait of Hormuz is locked.
Yes, there's nothing much anyone can do right now.
Yeah.
Unless the war comes to an end and shipping routes are reopened.
Yes.
Yeah. Failure to that, crisis everywhere, not just in Kenya.
Yeah, so we should expect a spike in fuel prices come this Saturday, maybe.
You see that photo where people are queuing at a refueling station with jerrycans?
Yes.
Expect that. Hata ukijaza tank leo, itaisha tu.
Itakuwa mbaya.
Itaisha tu bado.
All right. That's the main story on the front page of the Daily Nation this morning. That story on the NMG new owner. He pledges media freedom, and he says he will uphold the journalistic standards and editorial traditions that have built the legacy of public trust for one of Africa's biggest media houses since its founding 66 years ago. On the top strip, Linda Mwananchi pours cold water on report by broad-based team. ODM faction allied to Secretary General Edwin Sifuna discredits a report on 10 issues the president committed to resolve as a betrayal of the late Raila Odinga. The story is on page 6. Kilanithi Bridge redesigned to cost 7 billion shillings.
Wow.
Tuko na pesa.
No, but this is actually
a good thing, but
very key.
Yes.
The number of Kenyan lives that have been lost on that descent, once you're coming from Meru town and you descend, and it's very scary. Have you ever traveled to Meru on that route?
Yes, I have.
From Meru. It's a very scary descent. They've tried to change the design of the road and put some very huge rubble bumps, but still, buses still descend and get into the river, killing very many people. Now, on page 10 of this paper, they've done an aerial artistic impression of the new Nithi Bridge, how it will look like, and it's, I think, a 4-lane elevated bridge, quite high, way above the river.
Still looks scary though.
The height,
height,
but I think this, if at all they manage it, this will be a game changer, because every year, unfortunately, people die in the Nithi Bridge.
7 billion shillings.
I think it's worth it. To protect human lives, I'd rather they spend even 10 billion shillings on this than on some other things.
Kuna watu waliomba 20 billion mahali
ya kufanya nini?
Ya kutengeneza somewhere.
Well, if we can afford 44 billion shillings for a stadium, which is not, it's also a good thing. 7 billion shillings for a bridge, why not?
That is worth it. All right, that's the Daily Nation this morning.
All right. On the back page, of course, of the Daily Nation, matters to do with the WRC Safari Rally. So I said, must start your engines. 4 days, 18 stages, 46 drivers, all set as world's toughest rally begins in Naivasha today. But yes, a lot of that you'll get to see. I'm more concerned about the other story on the back page, where to watch the cars and routes to use to avoid the traffic to Naivasha. Yeah? Because many Kenyans do not listen, and then you end up in traffic, and probably you have an emergency or you have children in the car and you're traveling to the western part of the country. This is the kind of news you need to follow. Because they say the organizers have eliminated many of the usual fanfare, but now when it comes to traffic, wanasema hapa motorists can branch. Travelers heading or coming from Western Kenya have been offered 4 alternative routes. 4. The first one is Nairobi-Rironi flyover. You know, unaenda tu hivi lakini ukifika flyover usiingie Naivasha, unaingia huko ni kama unaenda Kinangop. Yeah, alafu if you're going to Nakuru, unaenda unazunguka unatokea Olkalao, unaingia Dondori, unaingia Lanet, unafika Nakuru. You avoid that stretch of Naivasha altogether. Motorists can branch at the flyover, head to Nakuru through Njambini and Olkalao, Dondori into Lanet. Second route, Rironi, Naivasha, Engineer, Olkalao. Once you get to Naivasha, there's a route that goes up NYS, goes straight to Engineer, then you can use either back to Kinangop or the other way. Motorists can also access Naivasha via Ngong, Suswa, Narok. That's the other side. You go to Ngong town, then you use a route there, straight to Suswa, then to Narok. You avoid Maimahio and Naivasha altogether. Yes. So if I was looking for the 4th one. Oh yes. Motorists from Thika, you use Mogumo, Njambini, Olkalao, Dondori, Lanet. That's another road that people don't know about. If you go to Thika, you can actually head to Nakuru using a different road. I think it's C6. Then you go past St. Mary Hill. Then you use a forest road up to Kinangop. And up to flyover, then you go back to Lanet. And I think this is probably what people need to pay attention to, especially those heading towards Nakuru and the western side of the country. That's the Daily Nation.
Let's take a look at what's making headlines on the front page of the People Daily now. Talks about matters political realignment. Can an unlikely alliance redraw Kenya's 2027 electoral map? Is a question they're asking in analysis on page 4. They say if half of the Luhya vote were to join the Kikuyu, Kamba and Kisii blocks in a coordinated arrangement, they would account for enough registered voters to influence the outcome of a presidential contest. So they're drawing this from the United Alternative Government, that if, now the map that they have here, the map of Kenya, of course, they're saying that if Western Kenya, which Eugene Wamalwa is there, and of course the Tawe Tawe is George Natembeya, and then Kisii, Matiang'i, Mount Kenya, Rigathi Gachagua, and then Kamba here, Kalonzo Musyoka, that if they come together and then these regions now decide to vote as one block, then that will automatically mean a lot for anyone who wants to vie for the presidency.
These are very rich vote baskets. It's a suggestion they have down there that if half of the, let me say, Western Kenya votes were to join with Mount Kenya, Eastern and Kisii blocks in a coordinated arrangement, they would account for enough registered voters. And you see, this is the kind of calculator politics we keep talking about. Tunakaa tu chini hivi na calculator asema tukipata tu nusu ya upande hii alafu tupate hapa 80% upande hii tupate sometimes unaweza fanya calculator it does not talk about the nitty-gritties on the ground. That's a problem.
Why trade in the mountain for Nyanza could hurt Ruto politically? Anaambiwa amefocus sana on Nyanza region, according to analysts in this story, saying that that might hurt him, being that Mount Kenya region is still the highest when it comes to voting. Leaders split over implementation of 10-point agenda report. That's another story on page 5 and 6. Linda Mwananchi, Linda ground politics. And that's the People Daily.
All right. Let's take a look at the Standard. And Standard focuses on something different. And the Standard Media Group has really focused on the court proceedings on the death, on the killing of a former Kasipul MP, Ongondo Were, who was gunned down in Nairobi. The murder trial continues to unfold now with new twists. An Assistant Commissioner of Police, Juma Ali Haikai, has testified in court that a car that he lent to a man, not knowing it would be used to trail the MP on the day of his death, has now become a crucial piece of evidence in the case against several murder suspects. Now, on the front page of the Standard, they've given a chronology of events from 3/18, a proper timeline. Whatever happened when a certain man was spotted, when this suspect car was spotted. At some point, I think they were at a fueling station, and the two vehicles, the one with the MP and the other one with where the assailants were, they were looking at it, they were facing each other. And it's like a movie. Someone should actually make a movie out of this. And up until 7:30 in the evening, when the assailant fired the bullet that killed the late Ongondo Were, the Kasipul MP. So that's the main story on the front page. The main and the only story on the front page of the Standard. It reads like a movie. You can grab yourself a copy and read this story on page 4. Of course, the back page matters sports. You blink, you lose. As Safari Rally begins, it's now race against time as car gets final touches. Yes, kicking off today in Naivasha. And that's the main story, even on the other page for sports, page 47 of the Standard. Just rally, and more rally. Let's come back to the front page. Remember that flooding is still an issue across most parts of the country. Now, experts are warning that killer diseases may add misery as rains pound. I saw a vehicle, one of these vehicles that ferry tourists to Amboseli and other big national parks. And it was submerged in proper floods. It was being carried by flood water. And I think lucky enough it was only the driver and he was sitting on top, but the vehicle was just floating on the water and they were trying to get it using bulldozers. I hope they managed to rescue that gentleman. Yes, matters floods. That's page 2. And yes, quite a lot of focus on that killing of the MP Ongondo Were, and that's the main focus on the Star today. They call it the bold newspaper. On the Standard. On the Standard, yes.
Let's take a look at the Star now. Raila workers fired as Oburu cements place in ODM ranks. They say sackings coincide with his move into new operational base. Very interesting. There are two photos here. A photo of the Linda Ground faction, of course, alongside, this is just President William Ruto and Oburu Odinga. And then kule chini, the Linda Mwananchi faction. This photo says divided house. President William Ruto and ODM leader Oburu Oginga at the UDA ODM joint parliamentary group meeting at the KCC in Nairobi. And kule chini Linda Mwananchi politicians led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, Siaya Governor James Orengo and Vihiga Senator Godfrey Osotsi, among others, during their 10-point agenda report.
And they say from the Linda Mwananchi team, they have at least 10 members of parliament. So 10 MPs from ODM in the Linda Mwananchi group, not so bad. They have huge numbers, I believe.
All right. Education CS defense having junior high in primary school. That's another story on page 7. 5 million shillings fine jail for AI abuse under new bill. And this is interesting. Tuone wanasema vipi. Kenyans who use artificial intelligence to create fake news, deep fakes or misleading political content could face heavy fines and possible jail terms under a new law proposed ahead of the next year's polls. So ukikaa vibaya, fines zinapita na wewe.
But do you think this one will see the light of day? Because it's still, they say it is a bill in the Senate, the Artificial Intelligence Bill 2026, that if you use AI to create fake news, deep fakes or misleading political content, you could face heavy fines. What if it's political propaganda? There's freedom of expression, I think. So I can't express myself using artificial intelligence.
You can't?
I can't.
That's
according to the proposal.
According to you.
Remember, it is a proposal.
Yeah.
It still
Like
has to go through parliamentary. Yeah. Oh, Senator Karen Nyamu.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's see how far it will go.
All right, on the top strip, we have here Vasha Alive, untold stories of the 2026 KCB Safari Rally team. There's another story on the inside pages. And Kibor's son sentenced to 3 years in jail for assaulting a sister of a stepmother.
Wow.
That's the stuff. Fresh, independent, different. Let's
take a look at the Business Daily now. MPs demand fresh Vodacom deal on Safaricom dividends. They say MPs have ordered the Treasury to negotiate a fresh agreement with Vodacom Group over the sale of Safaricom to include Kenya's entitlement to dividends based on ownership before the conclusion of the deal. Watu wanasema sisi tulikuwa tupate dividends, sama umeuza kutaendaje. Anyway, that story about NMG sale also featuring quite prominently on the front page of the Business Daily. NMG new majority owner pledges to uphold journalistic standards, which is positive. On the ticker, investors contractors pocket 4 billion for botched roads deal. Elsewhere, KCB doubles final dividend as profits hit 66.8 billion. Finally, KMRC to raise new debt via green bond. Business Daily today.
Tuvuke boda twende Uganda kwanza. We start off with the Daily Monitor. Police under fire over Bobby guards. And it says police sources from the Directorate of Counter-Terrorism, from which the bodyguards were drawn, say 5 of the police officers were arrested last Friday and detained at the Railways police station in Kampala on charges of disobeying lawful orders and withdrawing from work without permission. That's the main story on the front page of the Daily Monitor this morning, and that story on the new NMG owner says NMG new owner pledges to uphold journalistic standards. Ukiangalia Daily Monitor, you'll think it's the Daily Nation. Yes. New vision, over 34,000 civil servants to retire. Government embarks on reforms as experts raise pension bill fears. And that's the main story on the front page of the New Vision.
All right. In Tanzania now, we take a look at the Citizen, and that story about the NMG sale is the biggest headline on the front page of this paper. Rostam's pledge after acquisition of stake in NMG. Kumekuwa na rumors nyingi ati kutaenda hivi, amsema journalistic standards remain. The other story here, Samia meets with the UN envoy, and a picture there of UN Secretary General's special representative to the African Union, Mr. Pafe Omanga Anyanga, meeting President Samia. Floods pia zinasumbua Tanzania sana. 5 killed as heavy rains wreak havoc in Tanzania. Gazeti la Mwananchi, habari ile ile, masuala ya ule jamaa wa UN pia amekaribia pale. UN I think anakutana na viongozi wa vyama tofauti. Alikutana na kiongozi wa chama cha CCM, kiongozi wa chama cha ACT na kiongozi wa chama cha Chadema. Chadema ACT sasa waishtaki serikali UN. Walalamikia changamoto kwenye mifumo ya demokrasia, haki, katiba na kilichotokea kwenye uchaguzi. Rais Samia asisitiza uwajibikaji haki yaliyotokea Oktoba 29. Uwekezaji NMG hautaathiri weledi wa uhariri, ni habari nyingine pale. Gazeti la Mwananchi.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the caricatures now. We start off with one of the People Daily Stano Stake. What's happening in Naivasha Safari Rally? I think this is the navigator, is it not?
The driver navigator, watu wako juu ya gari.
We should have been allowed to ride boats instead of cars in this year's Safari Rally.
Because the assumption is that there's a lot of water along the route. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm looking forward to seeing dust, not floods. Yeah. Cartoon on
Daily Nation.
This is a Daily Nation, yes.
Ozone.
Yes. No. This is the Standard. Yes. Cartoon on the Standard. Anasema power. So there's a spotlight on this ODM UDA. Wameita nini? Coin. ODM UDA coin. So a caricature of the president
MOU.
and the leader. ODM leader wa Dr. Oburu Oginga pale wanajaribu kuwasha ile wanasema power. So focus on that.
That is actually, I think that is the Ozone. That is the Star. Because we have the Standard Harry's here.
Oh, Harry is back.
Yes. So the Star. So that is the Daily Nation, Ozone. This is now the Star. Still Safari Rally. A welcome break from politics and scandals. This is the president and the deputy president there, Kithure Kindiki, flagging off the Safari Rally.
All right. So those are the dailies and cartoons across Kenya and the region. A lot of focus on the WRC Safari Rally, which kicks off this morning in Naivasha and will continue for the next 4 days. Something to look forward to. I think it will be the biggest news on the dailies going forward, especially into the weekend, with politics ikiendelea kupungua.
All right. Let's take a look at the quote of the day.
Time continues moving forward, so don't let it pass you by. Instead of dwelling on the clock, focus on taking steady steps, even if they seem small.
All right, so State of the Nation coming up after the break. Senator Danson Mugatana, Dr. Peter Mbai, Duncan Madenge, MP Nyeri Town, and Brian Weke will be in studio to help us discuss the headlines. Later on, that discussion around World Kidney Day. So send us the kind of questions you have, especially on what you'd want to know about kidneys. And you can do that through our social media pages on YouTube and Facebook. It's TV47 Kenya. If you're on X, TV47 Digital, make sure you use the hashtag Morning Cafe TV47. You can tag us as well. At Fred Ndimuli is my handle.
_Dida. See you after the break.
All right. Welcome back and good morning once again. This is the Morning Cafe on TV47 with me, Fred Ndimuli. We now want to take a look at the big headlines today. One of the most interesting ones is here on the front page of Taifa Leo. Oburu amesaliti Raila, asema katibu mkuu wa chama cha ODM Sifuna. It has all to do with that report on the implementation of the 10-point agenda, which was the main agreement when that MOU between ODM and UDA was signed. And this 10-point agenda was agreed upon on March 7th, 2025, and marked its first anniversary last Saturday. And 2 days ago, the team that's tasked with checking the implementation of the same gave a report that was presented before a joint parliamentary group meeting made up of ODM and the UDA members of parliament. Yesterday, the Linda Mwananchi team came out and also gave its report on the same, which differed starkly from what was presented earlier by the Senator Zani-led team. And that is where we want to begin our conversation today. So far, we have two members of my panel this morning. Dr. Peter Mbaye, who's the Secretary Economic and Planning Affairs at the DCP, karibu sana, and Senator Dr. Danson Mungatana, who's a senator Tana River County.
And it's in order to say congratulations. It's not easy to become a PhD holder.
Yes, it is.
Yes, please. So congratulations, Senator.
All right. So yes, just to set the stage for this conversation, a lot has been said over the last 2 days over the implementation of the 10-point agenda. Let's listen to what those two meetings had to say.
The progress we have made is evident across several areas. Our country today enjoys greater stability, and the partnership has created an environment in which government programs can proceed without unnecessary political disruption. Opportunities for our young people are expanding, with government programs now reaching hundreds of thousands of young people across the nation. Through initiatives in housing, health, agriculture, education, the digital and creative economy, as well as the labor mobility programs, we are deliberately expanding new avenues for employment.
Why will you need to take a chopper to go launch 22,000 shillings? How crazy can you get? You know, you can be holding a doctorate degree, you can be a doctor by title. After all, can he have a photo of his classmates?
We borrow money for personal consumption. We borrow money for recurrent expenditure. We borrow money to loot as a nation. And the moment you loot that money, that debt becomes unproductive debt.
I took the first step and gazetted a victims' compensation panel. It subsequently went to court, and the court held it for a while. Even as the court held it, we did some work. We have identified all the victims, as we talk to you, with the Kenya Human Rights Commission, with the Independent Police Oversight Authority. We have identified all the victims and profiled their names, and we have already made sure that we have a comprehensive list. We did not even stop at 2013. We went back all the way to 2017.
Who knows the number of the victims? Who decided that a broken leg is worth this? Who decided that when you are raped, this is a compensation you should get? Who debated those issues? We don't know. The Victims' Compensation Fund has not been activated, we know that. What about justice? What about accountability?
Those who thought that, who were saying that there is nothing absolutely which has been done on the 10-point agenda. Shame on them. Shame on them, because you can see there is a lot which has been done and there is a lot which is still remaining to be done.
I am pleased with the report that has been presented here today by the Oversight Committee, highlighting the progress made across the 10 agenda items during the past year.
What we witnessed yesterday was a shameful charade meant to hoodwink the public that the MOU had been implemented when it is obvious to all Kenyans that nothing could be further from the truth.
This document that was released yesterday is a fraud. This document is a fraud. Senator Zani-led
committee should be surcharged for spending public money and doing nothing.
I don't know whether that is a good place for me to put a question. I therefore put a question that as many as of the opinion that they agree with the decisions of the organs of ODM and the organs of UDA on the process of engagement between our two formations, as many as of those who agree with the decisions of the organs of the party say aye. Aye. As many as of contrary opinion say something? Nothing. Okay, they say nothing. The ayes have it.
There is no longer any document binding us with UDA. It expired on the 7th of March. We have said that that extension is illegal.
Yes, that back and forth between the ODM-UDA Joint Parliamentary Group meeting and the response by the Linda Mwananchi team forms the basis of our conversation this morning. Just a quick run-through of the 10 points in this 10-point agenda. Number one is a full implementation of the NADCO report, which among other things was supposed to address, and I think the key issue here was the cost of living. There were other issues like the formation of the IEBC and others. Number two, promoting inclusivity in governance and national development. Number three, protecting and strengthening devolution. Number four, economic investment in youth, livelihoods and empowerment. Number five, upholding integrity in national leadership. Number six, safeguarding the right to peaceful assembly. 7, auditing and managing, reducing national debt responsibly. Number 8, fighting corruption. Number 9, eliminating wastage of public resources and raising or managing resources responsibly. And number 10, protecting the sovereignty of the people, upholding the rule of law and reinforcing constitutionalism. Now, according to the report that was presented before the Joint Parliamentary Group meeting, they said that according to the assessment, all this that I've just talked about had been achieved to a huge extent. They said 80–85%. But the other side, Linda Mwananchi, say they give them 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 probably because they started that process of compensating victims but didn't get to the end of it. Do you think we should even be looking at this list, Dr. Mbai? How relevant is it at this point?
I'll tell you, thanks to my friend. I'll tell you this, me, I give them 0.0001 for being there, you know, out of 10. Because I'll tell you this, it's good for Kenyans to know. That's why we are here. These points, they were not meant to be. It was just something to cool temperatures, to have like a gateway to this cooperation. They were hurriedly done. The day I saw them, Fred, I could tell from a leadership and governance expert, there was nothing enforceable. They were just praying. There were no deliverables, right? There were no timelines. Remember, it's after 6 months that they said, wow, we need to constitute a team. They were never meant to be. But because of the late Raila Odinga trying to manage his opposition side and the supporters, they had to come and say, you put all those things, you know, of, you know, no more mandamanos, you know, the issue of compensation of people. Please, Kenyans know this thing was just a PR. When you know when you know that, you relax. It was never meant to be. And I'll give you an example. The first thing that was supposed to be done under NADCO, forget about IBC. Come on. IBC, whether there was NADCO report or not, was supposed to be done. IBC should have been constituted immediately after the elections so they can be able to begin doing their work. That was a major thing there. That was not done. Number two, very important, is the audit of the 2022 elections. That if there was any meaningful intention of doing this thing, that is something that should have been done. But there was no willingness from both sides. Everybody relaxed when this thing was signed. If you want to know the context of this, Fred, listen to Sifuna. Sifuna said, it's me who wrote. It's me who knew why I signed this thing. It was meant to manage, to buy time, right? So the key issue of the NADCO was actually because the audit of the 22 elections was going to influence a lot of other things. It was never done. Now look at this. Inclusivity in budget allocations appointments. That is something so broad. What do you mean by inclusivity? To who? To where? Who was complaining before when you say budget allocations? So
what is the relevance of this 10-point agenda that everyone keeps loosely referring to? What is the relevant now, 17 months to election? Because if at all you say that even those drafters knew that this was not enforceable, why do we still talk about it even now? It would appear there's some relevance or there's some role it is to play as you head towards election.
Let me say this. Now, when you see, of course, Sifuna saying that I'm the one to supervise them and all that, this issue, I must admit that if there was a will from the word go to enforce them, it would have mattered. If there was a will. But since there was no will from government.
Or from all the drafters?
Mainly from okay, you see, what Raila did, he had to bring something on the table to assuage the supporters of the opposition. That look here, I'm not just going to the government, but I'm going to something. To say, do ABCD. But from the way they were drafted, Fred, you can't draft such things without deliverables.
Listening to you, Dr. Mbaya, then it would suggest that even the Linda Mwananchi team is a bit disingenuous in the implementation of something they knew was not enforceable.
I would say this. First of all, I have a problem with the fact that it is 6 months later that they discovered that there was no committee. So that one, I have a big problem with that. Having said that, if you look at all this, Fred, very quickly, you'll see that President seated there. He added 60 days, right? Why? Nothing. Just to play around, with the minds of the people. To move around and buy time. 60 days to do what? Now, listen, when you talk about devolution, BAMBA said, Kura, Kera, markets, all those things the president is busy doing, even houses should go to the counties. Nothing. Like, there's no even intention. When you talk about protecting devolution, you talk about for 50 billion. Yet what is passed, BPO and all that is for 20. Is there any intention? So, Kenyans, please, relax. Let's not waste our time thinking there is anything. This 10-point thing, even after 60 days, another sarcasm will come. Some disjointed thing. I had the vice chair lead that thing. It was nothing. There was no content. So let's not be deceived, Fred. Let's move on with our lives, the way we are moving on with life. It matters nothing.
I wonder if Senator Dr. Danso Mungatana agrees with you. Do you agree that probably this is one of the most irrelevant conversations that we're having? The political class understood that this were not enforceable, yet they still find convenience in keeping the conversation going.
Maybe, my age does not allow me to be too excited about things. I've been in this space for some time, and I can tell you that if you look at the genesis of this thing, it was two people. And remember, this was Honorable Raila and Honorable William Ruto. These people have a history. Despite the fact that they ran on different tickets, they have a long history together. If there was one person who really fought for Raila, let alone these people who are just talking now, the people who pretend to even love Raila more, there was somebody who actually delivered votes for him, made him a very serious contender for the presidency. They related for a very long time. And if you listen to the speech of Honorable Ruto, the President Ruto, he kept on saying that there is something that was done wrong to you, and we need to correct that. They have a long history together. And the two of them sat together first, before all of us knew what was happening. And they decided, no, after this election, we need to bring the country together. So it was two people who had this one common aim, to bring the country together. And you see, some of us may not have agreed with that decision, okay? But we respect leadership.
Did they manage?
We've been in leadership long enough to know that a good leader must accept to be led. So, and President William Ruto is a greater consumer of intelligence than myself. So when he takes a decision to say, let us sit together, let us look for Raila, let us discuss these matters with him, he knows what he's talking about. The information he has is better than what I have. So the two of them sat together and they said, let us craft something that will bring our people together. After they are sitting together is when then NADCO, there were discussions in Parliament. There was a national dialogue discussion, okay? The national dialogue was then, it resulted in the NADCO report, okay? So this thing stressed them together, stressed them to two people who had an idea that something wasn't adding up in the country, and we need to bring the nation together.
Senator,
and
question.
So, can you allow me?
Because I have to interject here, Senator. It is about the relevance of the list of 10 items, and what role it served back then. Did it manage to bring the people together, as you said? Was it purely to calm the temperatures, cool the temperatures? Did it manage to do that? Does it still have any relevance after that?
I'm coming to that. You see, when these two people came together, we are talking about a president who is a consumer of a lot of intelligence and knows the situation, raw intelligence. And he also knows that if he maybe works with Raila, something can be achieved in terms of bringing the people together, which they did. By and large, temperatures cooled. By and large, some of the things that the president wanted to implement started being implemented. For example, now, when you talk about the cost of living, these are the 10 points that you have just gone through. It is important for you to realize that some of the decisions that were made have helped to contain the cost of living. Cost of living, we're talking about the cost of fuel. You see, the government then had to do a G2G arrangement that controlled the price of the scarcity of the dollar at the time, which then helped us to stabilize the value of the shilling. And so,
but Senator, that happened way before. Allow me, Senator. I have to correct you here because...
You know the problem with you, Fred, you don't want me to talk.
No.
When the other people are talking...
I have to clarify here because...
When the other people are talking, you
Senator, allow me.
But when I'm talking, you are interviewing all the time.
Senator, allow me because what you've said, like I have to challenge what you said.
Let me finish.
Can I challenge what you said?
No, let me finish. Let me make
because
my
you
point
said
first.
The question is...
Fred, let me make my point
Senator,
first.
allow me here. When
the second time I'm allowing you.
It is my job. It is what I'm paid to do, unfortunately. The issue is, there are things the president was already doing before the 10-point agenda, before the MOU with ODM. It would appear he has continued with the same. The MOU and the 10-point agenda should have marked a shift from what he was already doing. Whatever he said on Tuesday is what he had already decided he would do. The G2G came way before the MOU and the 10-point agenda, Senator.
You see, the problem with you is that...
You're listing the same things that the president did.
You're not listening to me. You're listening to yourself and trying to ask yourself a question. I'm trying to bring to you the fact that there was a historical background towards before this thing came together. And then the 10-point agenda was agreed, and then the NADCO report came. Then I'm just trying to point to you that implementation of this thing has started happening, and went on to the point that it was given the report yesterday. And you don't want to mention, but you see, IABC was one thing that Raila was very keen on, and IABC was fixed. The cost of living, he was very keen on that. It has been controlled by and large. It wasn't spiraling the way it was before. Look at strengthening devolution. The Honorable Raila came to the Senate, and we had a very candid discussion with him. And he told us a lot of things, what he believes in and what he did. But one of the most important things he said is that we must fight to ensure that counties are funded properly, which is something that all senators agree with. And you can see that from 385 billion, 30 more billion was added to 415 billion. And now the president announced that they are expecting that this year they will add more money so that it will reach 450 billion. So that is called strengthening of devolution. And then beyond that, you can see that apart from the monies that were given, the ones that the equitable share that we gave to Nairobi of 20 billion, they were added another 80 billion. So practically, it isn't really 415 billion. It's 415 plus 80 billion. In reality, it is 495 billion shillings. Because if you add that big share that was given to Nairobi, which as senators we have complained quietly that, you know, why didn't they just get 47? Why didn't we get at least $1 billion each, and then they get the other amount? So I'm trying to point to you that indeed, if you look at some of these points, we have achieved them. If you look at the processes that we have engaged, because if you look at the 10-point agenda, one of the things we talked about was, let us have the leader of opposition. This needs entrenchment in the Constitution. Let us have the national CDF, the NGCDF.
Leader of opposition?
Yes, yes. That position was there. That issue was there. It was there, and it needs constitutional amendment.
Okay.
You know, that office was supposed to be created under those agreements. NGCDF, the funds for the women, the Senate oversight funds. If you look at all those processes, some of them are actually under discussion, active discussion in Parliament, because we are discussing now constitutional amendment to entrench some of those funds that had earlier.
So the conversation is already on.
So what I want to tell you is that the main purpose of this discussion was to bring the two sides that were in contention at that time. And that they listed some of the things they needed to do, and they have been done. And some of them are works in progress, and they need constitutional amendments. And up to now, I can tell you, we have done well. But I don't mind people saying what they say. I keep telling you all the time, Fred, that when I'm in the bus and I'm the driver, I've boarded a bus going to Mombasa from River Road. There will be many people who will be making noise there at the stage. Some they're saying, oh, we want to board. Some they'll be looking for other buses and whatever. But I will not be bothered because I'm seated on my seat and we are moving forward. So this noise is normal. It is normal, but we are moving forward. We are
Allow me to welcome my other panelists.
Kenyans should know we are making progress.
Yes, Duncan Madhenge and Nyeri Town, karibu sana. It's good to have you here. We're discussing this 10-point agenda and the discussions we've had the last 2 days at the parliamentary group meeting, joint parliamentary group meeting that you must have attended, and the response yesterday by the Linda Mwananchi team. And it's now boils down to the relevance of this discussion around the 10-point agenda. Dr. Mbaye here says that it was irrelevant from the beginning. It was not enforceable, and probably you're simply using it now as a political tool. But it's something that all politicians know cannot be enforced or cannot be implemented right now. Yet they claim that it has been implemented up to 80%. Do you think it's still relevant at this point?
It's absolutely relevant. And Dr. Mbaye must have lost faith even in himself, because the NADCO report, the team from their side was led by none other than one of the principals in their political arrangement. And therefore, he is questioning the very wisdom of the people who are leading him. And therefore, we will ask then, who is he following? In Fred, the 10-point agenda and the NADCO report and the broad-based government did further stabilize this country. We came from a contested elections, and even after, at the end of the contested elections, we still continued to have combatants between those who lost the elections and those who won. And the best demonstration of how combative we became after the elections was the invasion of retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's farm in Northlands. So it did not just end at the elections, it continued beyond the elections. And therefore, the two top statesmen at that time, and in fact, I'll say three, because after the elections, retired President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta did pronounce that the late Honorable Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga was still his presidential candidate. And therefore, when Raila came to negotiate with President William Ruto, he was basically one of the key principles of the Azimio arrangement. And therefore, it is our understanding that the principles in Azimio had an agreement and therefore supported the outcome of the NADCO conference and the NADCO report. Mm-hmm. The day before yesterday, we had a presentation on the NADCO report, the progress. And on Tuesday earlier last week, I had actually indicated on national media that most of the agreements under the NADCO report had been implemented, and those that were outstanding are still in the process. And it is clear there are outstanding issues, and that is why two things happened. One, there was an extension of the implementation committee, and there was the creation of the 8-member mediation team to help bring together the legislators, both in the Senate and in the National Assembly, to fast-track the 7 out of 10 remaining legislations. On county governments, we did pass the Additional Revenue to County Governments Act 2025, 70.6 billion additionally. And it was clearly called the Additional Revenue Bill to county governments. The question of the youth, we have seen the initiatives under the NYOTA program, multi-pronged. In terms of...
I'll challenge you the same way I challenge the senator.
Yes.
Some of these programs were already there. The president had them.
Yes.
Yet the 10-point agenda was to mark a shift from how things were being done.
Let me.
But it sounds more like what you're already doing.
I will pick on the youth agenda
before we take a break.
Okay, yeah. On the NYOTA program. It was there. Let's assume it was there. In what form was it then at the conception under the Kenya Kwanza only arrangement, and in what form has it been delivered in the era of the broad-based government? So, and even when this 10-point agenda came, it was a question of enriching programs that were in existence. Let me give you an example. So we had this issue about compensation. Now, the issue of compensation has had the input of the court. We have had the issue of protesters. Right? It has now been taken so that the legislation should be spearheaded by the Kenya National Human Rights Commission. But it is not just about the protesters. There is also protection of the property owners who also suffer when we have protests. So we can begin to see that there is some enrichment, and I believe that was what the original intention.
All right.
Let me finish by saying this. Both President William Ruto and the late Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga brought in the issue of the nation under the NADCO report. I am actually urging my president to take that step further. And that step, what I'm proposing, is what scares Dr. Bai's team. I am urging the president that in the coming elections, he goes to the next elections under a formation that I will call the government of national unity. Much more inclusive, maybe beyond the idea that him and the Prime Minister had when they came up with the NADCO.
And that's a new idea you've just introduced.
Exactly.
But let's take a break. When we come back, we continue this conversation about the back and forth over implementation of the 10-point agenda. Is it even relevant to talk about it now, or is it simply a political tool as we head towards 2027 elections? You're watching Morning Cafe. All right, welcome back and good morning once again. This is the Morning Cafe on TV47, State of the Nation. A quick look at the headlines. And yes, we started off with this headline on the front page of the Daily of Taifa Leo. Oburu amesaliti Raila, asema katibu mkuu wa chama cha ODM. It's all about the 10-point agenda and the implementation of the same. According to the Zani-led team, they say it's been implemented up to 80%. Some even say 85%. But the Linda Mwananchi team feels otherwise. And we're now joined with Brian Weke, a political commentator, who's part of the Linda Mwananchi team. And I can see you have the 10-point agenda, or a document that you're carrying with you. Why do you feel that whatever that report presented by Senator Zani declared is not correct?
It's not an issue of feeling. It is a reality. And if you look at how we've titled the heading of this report, we've called it the 10-point lies. You know, I've had Mbai saying that this thing was not implementable. But you know what Raila did? You know, people don't understand this 10-point agenda. When we signed this agreement with the UDA, it was basically what ODM has been fighting for many years. And that's what people don't understand. Raila literally played these guys, and they didn't understand. He literally handed them a rope, and they hanged themselves with it. Now, how can you sit on a national platform and lie about the 10 points agenda, and you give yourself 8% out of 10, out of 100, 80 out of 100, or 8 out of 10? Now, the report was very clear. Full implementation of NADCO report. The question is, has NADCO report been fully implemented?
1 year later.
1 year later.
Was that expectation feasible, that 1 year later all those demands in the NADCO report would be implemented? Because that's the issue that Dr. Mbai raised, that this was purely, simply unenforceable.
In politics and in legal processes, 1 year is such a long time. So if there is political will, it is very feasible. The only question is there a will? Let me ask you, when these guys wanted to implement the 2/3 gender rule, there was no numbers in parliament. When they wanted to remove Gachagua, everybody, even the ones who were in the US, came back to do it. When there is political will, 365 days is such a long time. You can implement so many things.
Even with court orders, like in IEBC.
You know.
When Gashagua's court order was circumvented somehow.
There was a court order on Gachagua, and they circumvented.
Who filed so court order in IEBC?
Can Senator allow me?
Allow him. You know, sometimes.
I'll come to you, Senator. I'll come to you.
When the Senator was speaking, I was actually watching him from there and allowed him to continue. So, one of the key things that we provided for was the audit of the last year, of the last election. Has it been done? Has a process started? Nothing. So you cannot sit and say that full implementation of NADCO report, you are at 8 out of 10. That is a blatant lie. That is conmanship. That is PR process. When you talk about inclusivity in governance, and you see, Kenya is one of these jurisdictions that we really proud of ourselves in our ethnic backgrounds and where we come from. Just the other day, I saw 47 managers of SHA being appointed. Out of those, there was only one Luya, one Luo, one Kikuyu. And you saw where all those guys were coming from. Mugatana's tribe, where we try to fight for them to be on the table, there was no one. Then you come and tell us we are doing very well. We are at 80 out of 100. Protect and strengthen devolution. I don't even need to belabor on this. Protecting.
Senator argues that now devolution, if you add the 80 billion...
Ask Senator where that 80 billion has come from.
Shillings now.
That money ought to be appropriated and approved by Mungatana's team. I bet he's very shocked that there is such an agreement. Now, if you really want to bail out Nairobi, which is fine, let's even agree that they want to bail out Nairobi. First of all, the national government owes Nairobi over 100 billion.
Just pay.
Then you say, now don't worry, we will give you an extra 80, but you will not do it yourself. Sign an agreement with us so that we help you because you lack capacity and you lack capability to implement this amount. How are we protecting devolution there? We can see machinations. You know, with these guys where we sit, we can see...
interject briefly.
Yeah, because you see, when you talk devolution, you're talking about the Senate. I just want to inform my colleague here that there is a very clear framework of cooperation between national and county government, which is provided for by the Constitution. In fact, we as senators have raised the issue many times, why are county governors paying for bursaries, school fees in secondary schools and primary schools, which are national duties? They should be paying for TVET and ECDs. But you see, because of the practical realities, we also want to see our students going to school. Okay. We then invoked that same cooperation agreement so that now the national government and the county governments, I think all the 47 of them have signed. So now county governors are able to allocate funds to support national government activity. Equally, national government can enter into agreement, say with Tana River County or with any other county,
and it is provided
so that they are able to support the activities of that county. Okay. And the person who knows where it pinches is the wearer of the shoe. So if you know that my shoe needs, you know, an extension or it needs to be sewn, it is me. And the governor is the person who actually knows. Okay. Because for us as senators, we oversight.
Fred, you are doing very well.
The governor
it was simply an interjection.
Yeah, Fred, you are doing until you are out. Because
no, Brian Weke was still.
Yeah, exactly. Because
it was only an interjection.
No, yeah, I thought so. Because that is screen devolution completely. That's confusion.
I think Senator needs to understand the meaning of an interjection. You cannot prosecute my case. This is my case. I'm the one prosecuting it. You know, if you feel that the county lacks capacity, what do? You capacitate them. Not taking over roles. And we know what this thing is all about. It's a guy who was sat somewhere, and I've realized that in this county government of Nairobi, these two levels, there's a lot of money that... you know, these guys, they look at everything as a venture. It's about how much money am I going to make. I remember when Sakaja was campaigning alongside our beloved president, Mheshimiwa Ruto. One of the key things they fought was what Uhuru did to Mike Sonko.
NMS.
And they said one of the key things they will do is throw out NMS. What are they doing?
Back.
It is just NMS through other means. Okay. I look at the issue to do with integrity, leadership, and the fight against corruption.
I don't want you to go through. We'll continue.
I just wanted to understand that this is a charade. These are just blatant lies.
Fred.
If there is anything that this government is allergic to, is the word corruption.
Fred.
The fight against corruption.
Yes,
I'll just say this. I'll just say this in a nutshell, because we must. I mean, make sure we communicate properly to Kenyans. Two things quickly that come to mind. One, he said it very well. This thing was supposed to calm the nation, right?
And it served that purpose.
Number one, exactly. Number two, I agree. What I think is that this is a rope that ODM gave President Ruto to hang himself. Let me tell you what will happen. You hear Sifuna yesterday saying, I'm the one who is in charge of supervising this thing. So the biggest departure between UDA and ODM will come out of this 10-point agenda. They will say, you have not done this, Ojwang was abducted in the life of this, people have been, tear gas has been thrown in the life of this. Do you know what will happen? So that now politically, let them extend it to 60 days, because I can tell you, within 60 days, Fred, there will be no audit of the 2020 election.
Would you suggest that President Ruto drops this debate about the 10 point.
Let me tell you what will happen. This is exactly what will be used to hang him. Because ODM will go around now, every point here will be used in a campaign race, saying this is what was agreed, this is what was not as agreed. So finally, I can tell you this. They will come together and say, you see, that is why we cannot work with. And Raia waambiwe, you see now, UD is not able to do what they had. But let me say this. When I look at the MPs, yesterday, they counted themselves. They said they were 253. Right? The reports that came, and there are some very good photos.
They joined parliamentary.
Yeah. They joined at KICC. The photos, the nice photos, 253 out of 349. Let me tell you, by thinking, I can tell you this, Fred. Seated here today this is March. In December, after we go for Christmas, come back in January. Out of these 253, I can bet today the people who will be still in that joint parliamentary group, they don't believe in these things. Seated here, let me tell you, Fred, this is my opinion, right?
It was unanimous.
I can tell you these members of parliament you see, in that PG, I can tell you everybody will be thinking about their ground. Everybody thinking what the ground is saying. January, they will all not report for the PG.
Let's go
that PG that normally happens before opening of parliament. So that is a fact that should summarize this discussion. Today they must talk because many MPs, Fred, no,
you cannot allow a stranger who has never been to a PG to be the most knowledgeable person about what happens in PG.
I can tell you
him to finish.
Let me finish. It's a second. Just a second. Fred, because when you hear how they are defending the indefensible, you wonder, do they live in this country? By the time they live here, they go to the ground. But many of them, they fear the president. He's very tough. Many of them have business deals around the government. And they fear the president. But the fear will wear out slowly. Me, I defend them. They are very good people. But in the fullness of time.
Allow me first. I come a long way with Brian. We have a history, including with the Senator Mungatana. In the political arena, we have interacted for a while. The Intergovernmental Relations Act 2012, the purpose of the act to enable joint, efficient or delegated exercise of power and functions between different levels of government. At that point, in 2012, the only person who was actively in the legislative space between us is Senator Mungatana. The wisdom of our people, of those leaders who went before us in coming up with the Intergovernmental Relations Act cannot all of a sudden become irrelevant today. And so I wanted just to put that in perspective based on the line that Brian had taken about the cooperation.
The issue of devolution,
On the issue of devolution. IEBC, an audit of the elections. The IEBC term expired. We went into the recruitment process. Court cases came, and the process struggled. Lastly, this fear that Dr. Bai has alluded to, Dr. Bai, you have for quite some time been in the space around the president.
And that's why I know what I know.
Wait. The fact that you fear him and could not tell him anything does not mean we are you.
Yes.
We are different.
Absolutely.
Completely different. And I want to tell you, give you a perfect example. Honorable Cecily Barile, chairperson UDA, Governor Embu, with the president on the podium and the 10-point, the scorecard of the 10-point agenda, tells the president with a lot of humility and respect the aspect of the 2/3 gender rule in the 10-point agenda has just peripheral mention. So, Dr. Mai, there are those of us who have better spine than you in this space, and we are exercising. We are exercising.
And we are not afraid.
Our mandate without fear.
Okay. The question now is, because the president, and just before we started this discussion, the president, after reading the scorecard, and he went very well explaining what he has done, which had already been his promise in his manifesto. At the end of his speech, puts a question. Do you agree that we form a coalition? And he's alone on stage.
Yes.
And the question is, has the president simply used this 10-point agenda as a platform to ensure political relevance of this cooperation with ODM and nothing else? Because it's like that was a highlight of the discussion, that at the very end, am I now ready? Can I now put the question? It's like you have been debating the coalition building process and not the implementation of the 10-point agenda. Was that the main idea?
Okay, let me just let you know. In Parliament, when people have discussed matters, or in fact in any good gathering, there must be an outcome. And the outcome is normally read by someone through a memorandum or through the reading of the resolutions. And if you look, the president was pushing an idea, okay? And then afterwards, the formal resolutions were read by the team, the leadership of Senate, the leadership of National Assembly, and the Secretary Generals of the two political parties. So it is normal to say, as many of these opinions say aye, as many of contrary opinions say nay, nay. So I wanted to tell Kenyans and those who followed the whole thinking, what we were doing was to receive the report from Zani. And that report contained certain issues. And then the president stood up when he was given the opportunity to speak. He also added more explanations to that thing. Because if you see, for example, the vice chair, when he was presenting, most people were feeling tired because he was like going through a report that is already written. But the president came in and added more meat, more thinking to what was being said. So for example, I'll give you an example. The figures of the strengthening of devolution, the figures of the monies that had been proposed, the 385 which we had in previous years, pushed by 30 billion to 415 billion, and then the proposed 450 billion, these were not contained in the statements that were with Agnes Zani. So when the president was talking, he was explaining further. The conflict, when we talk about strengthening integrity, the passing of the conflict of interest bill, which makes it very difficult for now officials who are serving in government to engage in business directly as themselves, and the consequences are so much. And you are even actually, you can be traced, not just me, but my wife, my children, including my associates. You know, if there are any proceeds, you know, of crime or something that is very big, the conflict of interest bill was passed. And remember, when it came to our house, we sort of mellowed it, you know, and then even the original text was sort of mellowed in the National Assembly. The president returned the bill back and said, no, I need it firmer. And then we could not override, because you have to have 2/3 majority to override what the president said. So the law then was passed in the format that was very strict. So this is a good step. And I'm talking to Kenyans that is one thing in terms of strengthening the integrity that we have achieved.
Yes.
I also, can I say one more thing?
I'm hoping you'll get to answer my question on how this debate about implementation of the 10-point agenda led to a question about coalition building as a final. As you said, debate in the House leads to a question at the end.
But not at cases.
And now debate about implementation, or rather a report on implementation of the 10-point agenda leads to a question about coalition building. It's the connection that I'm looking for.
Can I answer this? You see, the president, and I want you to follow the thinking which my colleague has raised. He said that one of the takeaways was that we need to establish a four-member team from the Senate and from the National Assembly, a mediation team. What does a mediation team say? You know, in the Constitution, when there is a bill that has emanated from the Senate and it has come to the National Assembly and we have disagreed, it has to go to mediation. If it has emanated from the National Assembly and it is going to the Senate, and we have moved amendments that we have disagreed, it has to go to mediation. So some of the bills, some of the 7 bills that are supposed to be part of the NADCO report are hanging because they are in mediation. So what was the president saying? We need to have working teams working together.
Because we do have that
so
clip.
that
we do have that
we
clip.
can resolve.
Allow us to play that clip when the president talked about, when he put the question, and he gave the basis of that question and the conversations that have been happening at the party level. Played.
I don't know whether that is a good place for me to put a question. I therefore put a question that as many as of the opinion that they agree with the decisions of the organs of ODM and the organs of UDA on the process of engagement between our two formations, as many as of those who agree with the decisions of the organs of the party say aye. As many as of contrary opinion say something? Nothing. Okay, they said nothing. The ayes have it.
Senator, this had nothing to do with parliamentary processes. This was about decisions for the coalition building at the party level.
Putting the question, even in their rallies, it's happening. Look, what is wrong with following language?
It is a connection
that
between
connects with the audience.
The question may be valid, but it's a connection between the implementation of the 10-point agenda and does it directly lead to coalition?
Sorry, let me try to answer in that seconds, if you don't mind. What you're asking, according to the president, this is something the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua told us. He told him in secret. There's nothing like NADCO report is going to implement. Let's start from there. We must start from there.
Those are rumors.
We must start from there. No, that's a public figure.
Let's discuss.
He's entitled to his opinion.
Come on. That is there. No, it's not
we are starting from all these things. He said,
to say I was told by Gachagua.
The president is good in managing people and circumstances and buying time. The 60 days buying time. Now, according to your question, according to him, he's interested with the merger of UDA and ODM, not this report. Nothing. 10 points for what?
No.
There is no merger without
no merger.
Wait a minute.
How?
So now, according to him, let me tell you what will happen very quickly.
No, on a point of order.
Fred, I'll come to you.
How do you agree? How do you agree to entertain?
Hold your horses. Hold your horses. He has a right. He has a right to give his opinion.
To misinform the public.
People should know when
you will challenge him
questions and all that.
You will challenge him after.
No. This is what we are saying now. So Fred, no, by that is a question. So Fred, therefore, what is happening in the mind of the president? And he said very well, I've worked with, so I know a few things. He's good in managing. Now, he knows this is not implementable. So now, to go to your issue, he came to the meeting wanting to use that occasion to stamp the merger.
Because my question from the word has always been the relevance of this 10-point agenda at this point.
That is it simply
nothing as a platform for coalition?
Now, what will happen?
Can I respond?
He is from UDA.
I'm coming to you, Brian.
The members of the honorable members of parliament are in UDA party. Let me tell you what will happen. In another 90 days, all ODM members will know wamechezwa, watahepa. This thing will be left with UDA. I can tell you. Right. They will discover all this all along. Ilikuwa mchezo ya town.
Prophet Mbai.
Led by, and this, you'll see this the kind of call I'm going to call.
Brian, do you have an answer to my question?
Yes, I do. You know, when I hear Senator Mungatana articulating parliamentary processes, I like his passion. He's a man I have a lot of respect for, but he does not understand your question. The question that you've put, which is very clear, and I want to answer it. You know, in any sane meeting, what happens if there's a committee? You present your findings. Once you've presented your findings, then the audience are given a chance to critique those findings. So you present, then people are asked, what are your views on the 10-point agenda? Now, this was a quickly put up meeting for purposes of optics and for purposes of trying to stamp authority and ensuring that ODM is controlled by UDA the way it is being done. And we can see it from where we sit. We are not stupid.
Do you think ODM members are ready for that question?
You see, ideally, send people, guys who've gone to school. You present your findings, then we critique them. Now, when Cecily, a very serious member of UDA, the chair, and a sitting governor, asks the president that she wants to speak, and there is a subtle threat, are you sure you want to speak?
That is,
you know, a subtle threat to a woman. This is the most powerful man in the country, asking a governor and a chair of a political party that...
Who have at least had the right to talk.
And it's like we had agreed no one to talk. Are you sure you want to talk? You know, these are the machinations we're talking about.
Can I answer that?
No,
Can I answer that?
No,
it's finishing. I'll come to you, Senator, next.
Allow us. I'm hearing Mbai saying that the president is interested in a merger with the ODM. He's not interested in any merger. The ODM, literally, the president wants ODM to be a department within UDA. We can see these machinations. We know what is happening. You know.
Do you think, Brian, before I come to do you think the question,
Junaid Mohammed,
just a moment,
on the podium,
just a moment.
Power.
If Raila Odinga was present, if Raila Odinga, God rest his soul, was present as a co-principal in a coalition building process, would the question have come directly from the president alone on the stage?
You know.
Let me say this. No, I mean, no, Fred.
Brian.
He was not in the meeting.
The question is to Brian,
but
and
he was
I'll come
not
to
in
you.
the meeting.
You are saying Bai is not a member of ODM. I am a member of ODM.
The party leader of ODM.
Allow me to
he
speak.
said that Oburu has allowed me to put this question.
If Raila would
he
have
said
been in
that
meeting,
specifically.
Yes. And that's what I'm telling you.
Come on.
William Ruto respected Raila Odinga. William Ruto literally, he feared Raila Odinga. The reason why he went to Raila to ask for support is because he knew this guy had capacity, this guy had capability, and this guy, the masses listened to him.
All right.
And what did Raila do? Gave him this rope that we're talking about. Now, when I hear Senator Mungatana coming here on national platform telling us, you know, we have passed conflict of interest bill.
Correct. We did.
Whatever we are discussing here.
We did.
In Kenya,
it is part of the 10-point agenda.
We do not have a problem with the laws. We have one of the best constitutions.
You see now.
We have one of the best pieces of legislation
you are a lawyer.
in this
you don't
country.
Talk like that.
Now, the problem we have is implementation of these laws.
Dan, can you go next?
So you don't come and tell us, you know, we've done conflict of interest law.
You don't talk like that. You are a lawyer. You don't talk like that.
Fred, now between the two of them, and that is why I said we have a problem, that Dr. Baye is becoming an expert in areas where he has not operated.
And a prophet also.
And that is why Brian says, according to him, the president is looking for a merger. Brian says no.
Department, he makes it even.
He says it's a department. But I'll tell you this, Fred. Even as I sat in that meeting myself,
Oh, you're part of the choir?
As I sat in that meeting, you know, he has a choir, and that is why you are seeing him singing, I am Sifuna. You are Brian Bwana. So as I sat in that meeting, the continuity of our country, even beyond my time, was still on my mind. And that is why I am able to say, look, I don't even think that this broad-based government arrangement goes far enough. Let's go, but push it even further to the level of government of national unity. And the whole idea is that beyond responding to the circumstances that were prevailing at that point in time, what about the future of our country?
We're talking about Monday this week.
All right?
The question was put on Monday this week.
On the question, I have told you point blank, two things. One, the president, the clip you have played, he asks whether the members agree with the processes of the cooperation arrangement and negotiations between UDA and ODM. And if you'd gone a little bit further, or is it a little bit earlier,
Is Matheka listening to himself?
He did say, and the ODM leader, Dr. Oburu, has allowed me to put this question. And even if it was Raila who was on the podium, they could not have spoken, both of them. At least they would have still have had an arrangement as to who will pose this question to all of us on behalf of each other. The president must continuously think about the future of this country beyond his first term in 2027, his second term in 2032, and after he has left office.
He has various forums to do this. Does it have to be at the discussion about the implementation of the 10-point agenda?
These people would like to box us, that they want to demand that in our meeting, they demand we follow their agenda. We had our agenda. In every meeting, including in all corporate governance meeting, even after the main agenda, there is any other business. There is room to discuss other issues that are relevant to the conversations that were ongoing.
Can I say something? If I can put this tool together before you say, because it's coming to you now. Now the relevance of the 10-point agenda appears to be a bit clear, that the direct result of this discussion about implementation is leading towards coalition building between UDA and ODM. Do you agree with that?
The president was very clear. Now let me answer that directly. The president was very clear that in order for us to make these things happen, there is need for legislation, there is need for change in the constitution. It was very clear. And UDA and ODM, broad-based, together with our friends who are either independent or who are cooperating with us, we make the majority in the House. So can we agree to work together? That is a very clear, he said this. I'm inviting you to listen to that speech.
But you're already in a broad-based government, so you're already working together.
No. Like now, when you say that we need to have a mediation structure where both of us are there to sort the issues out.
Between the two houses, not between the parties.
Yes, but those houses are made up of the two houses. You see, if we sit down, let's say we are 4 on one side and 4 on the other side, and we say, okay, there are those mediation committees in the House, the formal ones, but we outside, what are we doing? What are we doing on this mediation committee, on this one? Because each bill has its own mediation committee. It's not one. But then outside, you can agree that we will give instructions to our members when they sit. This clause they agree, this clause they agree, and then the legislation moves faster. But I wanted to explain something you raised earlier. You are looking at the structure of that meeting, okay? I want to invite you to know, and it's also in public knowledge, that the UDA held its own parliamentary group meeting. And we discussed a lot of matters. There were arguments there were things we agreed, we disagreed, what, before we came to the joint parliamentary group. And ODM similarly retreated to Mombasa, and they had their own meeting. They discussed many things. And then they have their agreement, disagreements, and then these two meetings were feeding into the meeting of the joint parliamentary group. So I want to pick an example that I saw in China, when we went to China recently. We went to a meeting in the village to see how they make the decision making is done. So we enter a meeting, and then that meeting takes exactly 29 minutes. And they were making very serious decisions about how the whole commune was going to operate, you know, and very large amounts of money were involved. And then, you know, afterwards I went to see the chairman and, you know, asking, come on, we didn't see much debate here. We didn't see a lot of too much discussion. He said, my friend, we have had 3 meetings where even this one, he pointed to one guy there, and that one, they were holding shots. They wanted to fight in those meetings. So this final meeting, don't see like we are coming here to just endorse something. We have fought, we have done everything. Now we are coming to finalize the thing. Okay. And this is what I'm telling you. ODM had their own their fights, their quarrels in Mombasa. Then they came to the PG. We in Nairobi, in UDA, had our own fights and quarrels in Nairobi. Then we went to feed into the PG. By the time you see that when it was open to the plenary, very few people were speaking. Okay. It's because we have already exhausted the speaking. And then we were saying, let us endorse what our organs have said. And so when we say we are endorsing, my friend, we are doing the right thing.
Gentlemen, I'm looking at my time. I only have time for final comments. We started off by looking at this headline on the front page of the Taifa Leo. Oburu amesaliti Raila, asema Sifuna. As you make your final comments, do you agree that this is the reality? And how else could you see it, if not this way?
This is what I think. One, and Raila Odinga left us sorry. We don't know what happened to him, even today. We are still waiting for the prey who killed Amoro. Number two, Fred, this is very serious. What the president is doing, he's trying to chase something in the imaginary. Now, having most of the country left him, he knows the only hope he has to have a bloc or anything like a coalition is ODM. Unfortunately, I can tell you this, these things, all of them, the people are still clinging to the issues of Ojwang murder, the disruption of peaceful protest, the issue of wastage, opulences going on every day. This issue of Nyota is a scam. You know, you cannot go borrow money, come and dish out like that and spend billions to dish out. People are watching. Let me tell you the truth. So what will happen? As President thinks he's going on very fast, never mind that ODM has to give a notice to quit Azimio before they get to another coalition. There are lobbying things. Linda Mwananchi will continue getting the people who have the spirit of Baba, personified by Sifuna, Babu Owino, and people like Brian. The more people will go on there, 75% to 80%. So what President Ruto will do finally, he will get a share. He will get a share of something called ODM there. So 2 things will happen. Either Sifuna continues clinging and fights over and continues and make sure the certificate original is safe. Make sure he's safe with Sifuna. He will continue and outbox them. ODM proceeds all the way to the end. Or if the worst happens and they decide to hold the name, the people will move out. The people with the spirit of Baba will move out. I can tell you today, I don't know why Baba went, but if he was taken out, it's because he insisted. Somebody knew his heart that he was not going to support this president next year. Right. That if he was taken out. Right. That's what is going to happen. In a nutshell. All this is drama.
Sifuna,
a lot of drama and talk.
Sifuna, Babu Owino and Brian are the young boys in a home who, when the father comes home, removes his shoes, they will always wear his shoes and try to walk around the house. Mm-hmm. The father never picks a stick and canes the young boy. He allows him to walk around, and after a few steps, the young boy falls and removes the shoes and goes back, and he can even come and sit on the father's lap. Look, let us trace 2 things. One, political parties at the exit and the struggle for power. We begin with Ford. Into Ford Kenya, Ford Asiri, and I don't know Ford what. Coalition building, ODM, after the first general election in 2007, has never gone into any other election as ODM. It has always gone as a coalition. CORD, NASA, Azimio. Even in the next elections, ODM will go to elections as a coalition. That is the reality of how Kenyan politics have been organized post the Moi era. Kibaki realized with his DP, he would never be president. That is why he went and looked for Eugene Wamalwa and Charity Ngilu.
Kijana Wamalwa.
You know, Kijana Wamalwa and Charity Ngilu. Thereafter, they would move even further to form PNU, where they went for Akina Saitoti and the others. And progressively, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta had KANU with all its structures in his hands. He decided to form TNA so that he could go into an arrangement with William Ruto, with URP, and a few other parties later. The transformation of the Kenya political space, and mark my words, is such that no party will be large enough on its own to win elections in this country. We will have to build coalitions. Okay. Those who want to try, Fred, I invite them to try.
Okay.
It will not happen. All of us, all the formations, will go into the next elections as a coalition.
All right. And before I give the two gentlemen a chance to give their final comments, our viewers too have been contributing to this debate. Let's see what you guys are saying online. TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, TV47 Digital. Peter Karaoke says, if the NADCO report is meant to unite Kenyans, why are leaders already divided? This looks more political than people-centered. Masi Wanjiku says, I support leaders like Duncan Maina Madhenge who are backing the report. Kenya needs dialogue and solutions, not endless political fights. James Mwangi says the rejection by allies of Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo Musyoka shows this deal may not represent everyone. Thank you so much for that. Faith Acheng, what exactly is the 10-point agenda? That's a question. Many Kenyans are being asked to support or reject something they have not even read. I tried reading it for you anyway. David Mutua, if leaders like Dan Mungatana support the report, they should explain how it will reduce the cost of living. That's what matters to wananchi. And Wamboi says this political division shows that the report might reopen old political rivalries instead of solving problems. Do we have more? Oh, another page here. At Kenya Watch, the division of the NADCO report proves politics is still about alliances, not solutions. At Mwangi KE says, good to see leaders like Duncan Maina Madhenge supporting dialogue. Kenya needs unity. At Achieng Politics, she says, if allies of Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo Musyoka are rejecting the report, I think we've read that one before, is the broad-based agenda already failing? Oh, this is a different one. At Citizen Voice, the real question is whether the 10-point agenda will change the lives of ordinary Kenyans. Will it? And finally, at Youth Agenda KE, young people want jobs and opportunities. Whether leaders support or reject the report, that's what we want addressed. Thank you so much for your feedback. And now let's give Brian Weke an opportunity for your final comments.
Thank you. The so-called broad-based arrangement was based on the 10-point agenda. It is 1 year since this report was signed. What we are saying very clearly as Linda Mwananchi, we will be absolved of these issues. Clearly, these are lies. This is innuendo. These are optics. These are good stories. From now on, we will proceed to Linda Mwananchi wa kawaida, the way Raila used to do it. So from now on, clearly, that arrangement between Raila Odinga and William Ruto has since elapsed.
Yes. Looking at the viewers' comments, many people don't seem to understand what the 10-point agenda is.
We will explain to them moving forward. But I want to come to my brother Madhenge, Mheshimiwa. And I want to agree today, take the date. The transfer window is coming this next January. Madhenge will not be in UDA. Take that today. Number two, I want to agree with him. You know, I like the way we have people who understand the history of political processes, of multipartism in our country. And I want to agree with him that the next government will be formed through coalition. Whichever side, whether you're in the alternative government or the government that is living, whichever you choose. But I just want to remind him that in 2002, in the advent of multi-party politics in our country, the president that won came from DP. The deputy came from Ford Kenya. That was Michael Kijana Wamalwa. When Kijana Wamalwa died, the second term of Mwai Kibaki, Kalonzo became the deputy president under ODM Kenya. He was in PNU. The next election, Uhuru Kenyatta had something called We Believe, TNA. William Ruto had something called URP. He became president, William Ruto became the deputy. Then they created Jubilee. Now they are telling us, as ODM, the largest party in East and Central Africa and north of Limpopo, that we are coming into an arrangement, an agreement, a coalition discussion, and they're telling us that the president and deputy will come from UDA, then us we play second and third fiddle. Madenge, it is not going to happen. And I will tell you for a fact, those history you're giving us here, we understand them. We understand these machinations. Right. Thank God that Madenge, come January, bye. Daktari, this guy will not be in the
Thank you, Brian.
So,
Thank you. Finally, Senator.
I have the right of reply.
He's a good player.
Because of time, let's allow the senator. Let's allow the senator.
Oburu amesaliti Raila. I think
Asema Sifuna.
That is a very misleading statement. I think the one person I can trust if I should pass away today would be my younger brother or my older brother, because these are people we have grown together. They have seen the worst of me and the best of me. A person who is young and an outsider cannot have an authority to say in the manner that I would say, to say on my behalf if I should demise today. So what Sifuna is doing is politics. And the claim that they have the spirit of Raila is misplaced. Raila was a statesman, and he had mutated into a statesman. And a statesman looks at the interest of the nation first before personal interest. And that is why, even during the difficult times of Kofi Annan, he went beyond, And I remember we were on the side of President Kibaki. When those two people were meeting, some of us who were still young and very aggressive were not for that. I remember when we were called to the office of the by Modhaura, I refused to go, to go and witness the signing, because I was in another stage. But Kibaki, Raila, they had mutated to another stage. So if you have the spirit of Baba, he was very clear. The nation is beyond personalities. And I wanted to say something else.
Yes.
When he was that age of this excitement of the fellows, Akina Sifuna and so on, Akina Babu, he was much, much bolder. He was a lion.
Raila.
Yes, he was not agreeing. He resigned his Langata seat and went to defend it. These people are pretenders. Right. Tell Sifuna to resign.
Right.
Tell him to resign today. Come on, taona hiyo.
They
are just saying that we have the spirit. We don't have the spirit.
I am going to be in the party that is going to form government after the 2027 elections. I am going to be in that party. I am going to be in parliament on the ticket of the party that is going to form the next government.
I like what
he said.
Now.
At this point in time, the only party that has presented an agenda post 2027 is UDA.
All right. And we are out of time.
Safari Yeah. I come from Nakuru. It's only fair. I just invite everyone to Nakuru. It's starting today. Tomorrow, Saturday, and finally on Sunday. Please, karibuni sana. It will be fun and a lot of excitement there.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Dr. Peter Mbai, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at DCP. Brian Weka, member of the Linda Mwananchi team, also a political commentator. Senator Dr. Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana River County. and Duncan Madenge, MP Nyeri Town, our panelists this morning. Thank you so much for a vibrant debate, and I hope to see you next on Morning Cafe. After the break, we switch gears. World Kidney Day is today. We'll be talking about matters kidneys. So please send us your questions. Let us know what you would like the doctor to address. And Anno Dida, my colleague, will be having that interview after the break. My name is Fred Indimuli. Good morning.